End of world stockpiling. My bestie won 10 million. I reincarnated to prepare for the apocalypse, babe. I won. I really won 10 million. My bestie Lynn, she screamed excitedly on the other end of the phone. But I felt ice cold, as if I had fallen into a frozen abyss. Because in 3 days, the apocalypse would arrive. In my past life, it was precisely because of this 10 million that Lynn, she was targeted by her horrible relatives and was devoured alive. And I, trying to protect her, was pushed into a horde of zombies by her cousin. Reborn into this life. I gripped my phone tightly and said calmly, Sheet, listen to me. Transfer all the money to me right now. Then, we go stock up. I'm going to make sure the entire supermarket is under our names. Lin Shi on the other end of the phone was stunned. Nien, what are you talking about? Transfer it to you? I was going to treat you to a big meal and buy you a bag. Her voice was filled with barely contained excitement. Listening to her familiar, naive words, my nose tingled and tears nearly fell. In my past life, she had said the same thing. Then, she used that money to rent the best apartment in the city center, buy the most expensive bags, and treat all her relatives to the finest hotel. She thought she was sharing joy, but she didn't realize she was inviting a wolf into the house. I took a deep breath, suppressing the lump in my throat, and spoke to her with an unprecedented seriousness. Lin Shi, this is no joke. I had a very real dream, a dream that in 3 days, the world will become terrifying, full of monsters everywhere. I dreamed that money of yours killed you. And it killed me too. Lin Shi's laughter stopped abruptly. Nien, don't scare me. Are you just too tired from work lately? I'm not scaring you. Every word I'm saying is true. I forced myself to stay calm and spoke with clear logic. Do you trust me, just this once? Trust me unconditionally. There was silence on the other end of the line. A full minute passed, so long I thought she might hang up and call me crazy. My heart was racing, my palms drenched in cold sweat. If she didn't believe me, everything would be lost. Just as I was about to give up hope, Lin Shi's voice came through again, trembling with hesitation. All right, Nien, I trust you. What should I do? My tense nerves instantly relaxed, and I nearly collapsed from exhaustion. Link all your bank cards, including the winning one, to my phone. You know the password. Then, come to my place immediately. Don't bring anything and don't tell anyone in your family. Remember, from now on, don't contact anyone except me. Why can't I tell my mom? Lin Shi asked, puzzled. Because she'll tell all the relatives, I said. Word by word. And then they'll tear you apart like sharks smelling blood. Lin Shi gasped on the other end. After hanging up, within 5 minutes, my phone received a bank notification. 10 million, not a cent less, all transferred. Staring at that long string of zeros, I felt no joy, only the weight on my shoulders growing heavier. Time was tight, and I didn't waste a moment. I immediately contacted a security engineering company online. Speaking in a tone that brooked no argument. I want all my windows and doors replaced with the highest grade anti-theft specifications. Add security grills, alarms, and install one-way bulletproof glass on every window. I have only one requirement. It must be completed within 24 hours. Money is no object, I'll pay double. The other party was stunned by my boldness and urgency. After confirming my ability to pay, they immediately dispatched a work crew. Next, I called the sales office of a high-end villa district in the suburbs. I want to rent your standalone villa with a private courtyard, basement, and solar panels. Yes, the most expensive one listed. The lease. Let's start with 5 years. Paid in full upfront. I'll come over now to sign the contract. Securing a place to live was just the first step. The real battle was yet to come. I looked out the window at the peaceful scene of traffic and pedestrians, but in my eyes, I saw the blood and fire of the apocalypse from my past life. In this life, I wouldn't just make sure Lin she survived, I'd make sure she lived better than anyone else. As for those beasts, I touched my burning cheek, where the pain of being torn by zombies still seemed to linger. I would make them pay blood for blood. Lin she was dragging her suitcase to my doorstep when she saw the house full of clattering workers, and she was completely stunned. Nien Nien, are you tearing down the house? I pulled her inside and locked the door. Not tearing it down, building a fortress. I slapped the freshly signed villa lease contract in front of her. From today, this is our first safe house. Lin she stared at the string of zeros in the rent on the contract. Her mouth wide enough to fit an egg. 5 years? Nien Nien, are you serious? More serious than gold. I opened the list I had already prepared on my phone, dense text filling the entire screen. She, now's not the time for explanations. We don't have much time. You're in charge of buying these things online and have them delivered directly to the villa address. Buy as much as you can, don't worry about the price. Remember, be quick. The list included everything from rice, flour, canned goods, and drinking water to various medicines, first aid kits, entrenching tools, fire axes, and even generators and large quantities of gasoline and diesel. Lin she looked at the list, her eyes shifting from shock to seriousness. She stopped asking questions and just nodded firmly. Okay, I'll get on it right away. She knew I wasn't joking. We divided the work clearly. She handled online shopping and I took care of offline purchases. I put on a mask and a hat, grabbed a few anonymous savings cards, and rushed into the city's largest wholesale market. Boss, I want all your vacuum-packed rice and flour. All the canned goods, instant noodles, and self-heating hot pots in your store. Give me 1,000 boxes of each. Bottled water. I'll take as much as you have. I was like a madwoman, darting between shops, clearing shelves wherever I went. The shopkeepers looked at me like I was crazy, but when they saw me swiping my card without hesitation, they immediately broke into smiles. Miss, don't worry. We'll deliver it to the specified address by today. A few hours later, I appeared at an outdoor gear store. Give me 10 sets each of the highest grade mountaineering clothes and combat boots for the two of us. High-intensity flashlights, Swiss Army knives, fire starters. Water purification tablets. 100 of each. And this, compound crossbows, the most powerful ones. Give me 2, along with 500 bolts to start. The clerk's face showed some hesitation. Miss, these crossbows are regulated items and require ID registration. I slapped 100,000 yuan in cash on the counter. No receipt, I'm taking them now. The power of money is limitless. After a 5-fold markup, the clerk quietly loaded 2 brand new compound crossbows and several large boxes of bolts into my trunk. By the time I left the outdoor store, dusk had fallen. The city's neon lights flickered on one by one, illuminating the hurried passers-by on the streets. None of them knew that in 3 days, this bustling scene would turn into hell. As I drove, I passed a pet shop and, on a whim, stopped. In my past life, if I had had a fierce enough dog by my side when I was pushed out by Lin Shi's cousin while trying to protect her, would the outcome have been different? I walked into the pet shop, my gaze locking onto a massive iron cage in the corner. Inside were 2 enormous Caucasian shepherd dogs, their fur jet black and shiny, their eyes fierce, growling low at me with bared white teeth. Boss, I'm buying these 2 dogs. When I got home, the security company had already completed all the modifications. The ordinary residential windows were now fully covered with thick steel plates, leaving only a narrow observation slit. The front door had been replaced with a bank vault-level security door, with a complex electronic keypad installed beside it. The entire home was as solid as a fortress. Lin Shi, seeing the 2 large cages of Caucasian shepherd dogs I unloaded from the car, took a few steps back in fear. Nian Nian, you. You bought dogs too. Their names are Dahe and Arii. They'll be guarding the house from now on, I said without looking up, feeding the dogs. You need to get familiar with them as soon as possible. Lin, she swallowed hard and cautiously approached. Dahe and Arii seemed to sense her goodwill, only letting out a low growl without making any further moves. How are the online purchases coming along? I asked. All ordered. The fastest delivery will arrive at the villa tomorrow. Just food and water alone cost nearly 3 million, Lin, she said, still sounding a bit surreal. Nian Nian, are we really going to eat through an entire mountain, not a mountain? The entire winter. I turned on the TV. A breaking international news report was playing. According to reports, an unknown virus has broken out in a certain country. Infected individuals exhibit high fever, vomiting, and aggressive behavior. The area has been officially quarantined. In my past life, this seemingly insignificant news had marked the beginning of the apocalypse. No one paid attention at the time. 3 days later, the virus spread across the globe at an alarming speed. Cities lost water and electricity. Communications were cut off. Order collapsed. Supermarkets were looted. People fought violently over a bottle of water or a piece of bread. Then, the first wave of zombies appeared. I turned off the TV, unwilling to relive those bloody scenes. Cece, remember this: no matter what happens outside, no matter who knocks on the door, don't open it. Especially your relatives. At the mention of relatives, Lin Shi's face darkened. She had grown up with her mother after her parents divorced. Her mother was weak-willed and almost always gave in to the demands of her maternal relatives. Her eldest uncle's family had been unemployed for years, relying on her mother's support. Her aunt was a gambling addict, drowning in debt, constantly coming to borrow money. Her cousin was a scoundrel, the only male in the family, who had bullied Lin Shi since childhood, taking whatever he wanted from her. Lin Shi had only told her mother and the two of us about winning the 10 million. But it didn't take a genius to figure out that her mother had already spread the news far and wide. Sure enough, my phone rang. An unknown number. I answered and put it on speaker. Is this Chen Nian? I'm Lin Shi's mother. Where have you hidden Cece? Let her get on the phone right now. The voice on the other end was sharp and harsh, carrying a tone of entitlement. Before I could respond, Lin Shi grabbed the phone. Mom, I'm at Nian Nian's place. We have things to discuss. I'll be back in a few days. Discuss what? You win 10 million, such a huge deal, and you don't discuss it with your family, you discuss it with an outsider. Your uncle and aunt are waiting for you to bring the money back, that money. I won't be needing it for now, Lin Shi said, her voice faltering. What do you mean you won't be needing it? Lin Shi, let me tell you, that money isn't just yours, your grandmother needs it for medical treatment. Your cousin needs it for a wedding and a house, your aunt needs it to pay off her debts. You get back here right now and hand over the money. The shrill yelling pierced through the receiver, grating on my ears. I hung up immediately and blocked the number. Lin Shi's face was pale, her lips trembling. Nian Nian, my mom. She's already been brainwashed by those leeches, I cut her off. From now on, cut off all contact with them. Otherwise, we'll be the ones who die. My words were like a bucket of ice water, extinguishing the last flicker of hope in her heart and igniting the anger she had suppressed for years. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails dug into her flesh. Fine, I'll listen to you. The next day, we moved into a villa on the outskirts. Watching truck after truck drive into the courtyard, workers moving like ants, hauling crates of supplies into the basement, Lin Shi finally felt a sense of reality. Nian Nian. We really built a kingdom. The basement had been transformed into a massive warehouse, with shelves neatly stocked with food, water, medicine, and various daily necessities. Enough to sustain the two of us luxuriously for 10 years. The villa's security system was even stronger than my family's. The courtyard was surrounded by high-voltage electric fences, and surveillance cameras covered every angle without a single blind spot. Now everything is ready, all we need is the east wind. I stood on the second-floor terrace, gazing at the city skyline in the distance. The storm was about to arrive. The apocalypse came more suddenly than I had imagined. On the evening of the third day, the sky changed abruptly, dark clouds pressing down on the city. The TV signal cut out, leaving only static on the screen. The phone lost its signal too, becoming a useless brick. In the city, screams and sirens erupted one after another. Lin Shi and I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of the villa, using binoculars to look into the distance. On the streets, cars crashed into each other haphazardly, bursting into raging flames. People fled in all directions like headless flies, and behind them were some slow-moving, oddly postured people. Those people pounced on a running man, surrounding him and tearing into him wildly. Blood instantly stained the ground. Lin Shi covered her mouth in terror, trembling all over. Nian Nian. Is that the monster you talked about? Yes, they're called zombies. My voice was calm, having experienced death once. These scenes no longer moved me. I pulled the heavy curtains shut, blocking out the hell outside. From now on, our new life officially begins. I turned on the villa's sound system and played some soothing music. Then I took fresh beef and vegetables from the fridge and set up a hot pot in the living room. The spicy oil broth bubbled and simmered, its aroma instantly dispelling the smell of blood in the air. Lin Shi looked at the hot pot before her, then glanced out the window, her eyes dazed. Nian Nian, is this really okay? What's not okay? I picked up a slice of tripe, dipping it in the boiling soup 7 times up and down. Outside is hell, inside is heaven. The fact that we survived is already the greatest luck. We won't just survive, we'll live well. The steaming hot pot gradually warmed Lin Shi's cold body. She picked up her chopsticks and, imitating me, began to eat heartily. Yes, being alive was the best thing. Just as we were enjoying our meal, the villa's doorbell suddenly rang. Lin Shi and I both froze. I walked to the door and checked the surveillance monitor. On the screen appeared a set of familiar yet ugly faces. Lin Shi's mother, her uncle, aunt, and her sleazy cousin, all of them were standing outside, not one missing dot. They looked disheveled, their clothes stained with dust and suspicious dark smudges, but their faces were full of greed and urgency. Lin Shi, open the door. I know you're in there. Her mother pounded on the iron gate, making a loud clanging noise. You little bitch. Winning the lottery and hiding away to enjoy yourself. Open the door right now and hand over the money. Her aunt, hands on her hips, cursed loudly. Her cousin Lin Wei was even more direct. He picked up a rock and started smashing the keypad lock on the gate. You slut. Don't be ungrateful. If you don't open up, I'll smash this door down. Lin Shi stared at the surveillance footage, her face pale and her body trembling uncontrollably. Those were her relatives, but now they looked like a pack of vengeful ghosts. Nian Nian. How did they find us? Have you forgotten how well your mother knows you? I sneered. She knows you rely on me the most, so she must have guessed we're together. In my past life, they had come knocking like this too. Back then, we weren't prepared. Living in an ordinary apartment, they pried open the door, stormed in like bandits, and snatched all the supplies Lin Shi had traded her bonus for. Lin Shi cried and begged them to leave a little behind, but her mother slapped her hard. You ungrateful wretch. These things were always meant to be ours. Can you eat all of this by yourself? Later, when the food ran out, they forced Lin Shi to go out and scavenge. Then, to trade for a bag of rice, they sold the beautiful Lin Shi to the leader of a survivor base. Finally, when they realized she had nothing left to offer. They beat her to death over the last piece of chocolate she had hidden. That scene is etched into my memory forever. Nien Nien. What do we do? Lin Shi's voice trembled with tears. Don't be afraid. I patted her hand, walked to the door, and pressed the intercom button. Can I help you? My voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. The people outside froze for a moment at the sound of my voice, then erupted into even more furious shouting. Chen Nian. You little vixen. Did you put Shishi up to hiding? What are you plotting? Trying to hog all that money for yourself? Lin Shi's mother screeched. I'm telling you, that money belongs to our Lin family. It has nothing to do with an outsider like you. Tell Lin Shi to get out here right now. Her uncle bellowed. I let out a soft laugh. My voice amplified through the speaker. Crystal clear. Sorry. You've got it wrong. First, Lin Shi's lottery winnings have all been transferred to me. She's broke now. Second, this villa is rented by me. Everything here was bought by me. It has nothing to do with you or Lin Shi. So, please leave my private property immediately, or don't blame me for being rude. My words hit like a bomb, setting off chaos outside. What? All the money went to you? Lin Shi, you idiot. Chen Nian, you bitch. That's fraud. I'm calling the cops. Your private property, my ass. Believe me, I'll kill you right now. Lin Wei roared in fury, pounding on the door even harder. I watched his twisted face on the monitor and pressed another button. Zzzzzt, a sharp crackle of electricity rang out, followed by Lin Wei's pig-like screams. He writhed on the ground in agony, clutching his charred hand. The high-voltage grid was activated. The others stumbled back in terror, staring at the cold iron door. Crazy, you're both crazy, Lin Shi, you unfilial daughter. You teamed up with an outsider to electrocute your cousin, you'll get what's coming to you. I turned off the intercom, tired of listening to their curses. I said to Lin Shi, come on, the hot pot's getting cold. Lin Shi stared at me blankly, then looked back at the grotesque scene of her relatives on the monitor. The weakness and fear in her eyes slowly gave way to a strange new emotion. She took a deep breath, sat back down at the table, picked up a slice of beef, stuffed it into her mouth, and chewed forcefully, as if she were swallowing all her grievances and anger in one go. Outside the window, there were the roars of zombies and the curses of relatives. Inside, there were just the two of us, calmly eating hot pot. A single door separated two worlds. Those relatives did not leave. They dared not approach the electric fence again, so they set up camp not far from the villa, like a flock of vultures, waiting for us to run out of supplies and open the door to beg for mercy. During the day, they took turns shouting curses at the door, a torrent of foul language too vile to hear. At night, they huddled in corners, enduring hunger and cold, along with the occasional roars of zombies coming from the darkness. We, on the other hand, treated the surveillance footage as entertainment to accompany our meals. We watched them fight bloody battles over half a moldy piece of bread, watched Lin Wei develop a high fever from an infected wound, and watched Lin Shi's mother go from cursing to begging. Cece, open the door. Mom knows she was wrong. Let us in. It's too cold out here. Cousin. I was wrong. I shouldn't have smashed your door. Can you give me some fever medicine? I'm dying. Lin Shi's heart softened several times. Nian Nian, maybe. We could throw some medicine out to them. I just looked at her coldly each time. Have you forgotten how they treated you in your past life? Have you forgotten the looks on their faces when you were being torn apart? Do you want to reenact the story of the farmer and the snake? Lin Shi's body would freeze instantly, the pity in her eyes replaced by hatred. Yes, how could she forget? Those people didn't deserve any sympathy. A week later, their shouting grew weaker, replaced by desperate wails. The small amount of food they had brought was gone, and they began scavenging through the nearby ruins. But a week into the apocalypse, there was little food to be found, and they often encountered stray zombies. That day, we were taking inventory of supplies in the basement when the surveillance system suddenly sounded an alarm. We ran to the first floor and saw on the screen that Lin Wei was sneaking around, digging something at the base of the villa's wall. Behind him, his parents and aunt were keeping watch. Lin Shi's mother was nowhere to be seen. "What are they doing?" Lin Shi asked. Puzzled, I zoomed in on the surveillance feed and saw what Lin Wei was holding. Explosives. They had somehow gotten their hands on homemade explosives and were trying to blow up the wall. They won't give up until they see their own coffin. My eyes turned cold. I picked up the compound crossbow leaning against the corner of the wall and opened a shooting port on the second-floor terrace. The cold bolt was nocked, aimed at Lin Wei's thigh. "CC. Watch closely. When dealing with beasts, you can't use human methods." I pulled the trigger. Whoosh! The bolt cut through the air with a sharp sound, hitting Lin Wei's right leg, the one he was using to bury the explosives. "Ah!" Lin Wei let out a heart-wrenching scream, collapsing to the ground as blood instantly soaked his pants. The others were terrified, screaming and scattering in all directions. Just then, something unexpected happened. From outside the villa, a dense sound of footsteps and roars approached. A massive horde of zombies had been attracted by the explosion and the screams, a dark, overwhelming tide, at least 100 of them. Lin Wei's parents and aunt, seeing the zombie horde, were so frightened their legs gave out. They scrambled and crawled to flee far away, completely ignoring Lin Wei, who was still wailing on the ground. Lin Wei looked in despair at the zombies surging toward him, his face drained of all color. He tried to crawl, but the excruciating pain in his leg left him immobile. "Save me, Dad, Mom, save me!" His cries were drowned out by the zombies' roars. In an instant, he was swallowed by the horde, leaving only a few indistinct screams and a splatter of blood and flesh. She covered her mouth, barely holding back the urge to vomit. Though she hated Lin Wei, witnessing him being devoured by zombies was still too much to bear. I lowered the compound crossbow expressionlessly. Evil begets evil. In my past life, it was this very hand that pushed me into the zombie horde. In this life, I simply made him taste the bitter fruit he had sown. The zombie horde had dealt with Lin Wei, but they didn't disperse. Instead, they were drawn by the scent of living people in the villa and began frantically charging at the electric fence. The crackling sound of electricity was incessant, accompanied by the stench of zombies being electrocuted. "Nian Nian, can the fence hold?" Lin Shi asked worriedly. "Don't worry. The solar panels are still supplying power. It's enough to keep them zapping for 3 days and nights." I took out 2 pairs of earplugs and handed one to Lin Shi. "Put these on and get a good night's sleep. By tomorrow morning everything will be quiet." However, we underestimated Lin Shi's mother. In the middle of the night, the villa's doorbell rang again. Lin Shi and I were woken up. We went to the monitor and saw only Lin Shi's mother standing on the screen. She was drenched, her hair plastered messily to her face, looking utterly miserable. She wasn't pounding on the door or cursing. Instead, she knelt on the ground, facing the camera, and kowtowed again and again. Her forehead soon split open, blood streaming down her cheeks. She. "Mom begs you. Please open the door. Your brother is dead. Your dad and aunt got separated. Now I'm all alone. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have forced you. Shouldn't have yelled at you. Just take pity on me and let me in. I'll be your servant, do anything you want." Her cries were filled with regret and despair, sounding especially pitiful. Lin Shi's eyes instantly reddened. After all, this was the woman who gave birth to her and raised her. "Nian Nian. She looked at me, her eyes full of struggle and pleading. I silently watched the woman on the screen, kowtowing like she was pounding garlic. In my past life, after Lin she died. She had done the same, kneeling before the base leader's door, crying and begging, offering herself in exchange for a pack of crackers. That leader thought she was too old and ugly and kicked her away. In the end, she starved to death on the street, her body devoured by stray dogs. Pitiful, maybe. But those who are pitiful often have their hateful sides. If not for her indulgence and greed, Lin she would never have died. I looked at Lin Shi and asked word by word, "Are you sure you want to let her in? If she comes in and sees all our supplies, what do you think she'll do? Will she be grateful, or will she think all of this was rightfully hers, that we stole it from her? Will she truly repent, or will she find a way to contact outsiders, collude with them, and take everything from us?" I'll only remind you once. Everything we have now was earned with our lives. Opening the door is easy, but closing it again will be hard. Every word I said pierced Lin Shi's heart like a needle. She looked at her mother still kowtowing on the screen, then at this safe and comfortable villa. The struggle in her eyes slowly turned into resolve. She walked to the intercom, pressed the button, and said in a hoarse but firm voice, "Go away. From the moment you forced me to die for money, I no longer had a mother." There's a tool shed behind the villa. It's unlocked. There's some water and compressed biscuits inside. Enough for a few days. Take them and go wherever you want. Just don't come looking for me again. With that, she resolutely turned off the intercom and shut down the monitor. The tears finally broke free. She threw herself into my arms and sobbed uncontrollably. I gently patted her back, saying nothing. I knew that from this moment on, the weak and naive Lin Shi was dead. The one who survived was a completely new Lin Shi, living only for herself. After driving away her mother, Lin Shi was in a slump for 2 days. She didn't eat or drink, just sat by the window hugging her knees, staring blankly at the gray sky outside. I didn't try to comfort her. I knew this was something she had to go through. On the 3rd day, she came to me on her own. "Nyan, I'm okay now." Her eyes were still a bit swollen, but her gaze had regained clarity. "I've figured it out. People can't live in the past forever. So, what do we do next?" I smiled with relief. "First, we get a good car." Although there were plenty of supplies in the villa, they wouldn't last forever. We had to have the ability to go out and scavenge for more. A sturdy, crash-resistant, and powerful off-road vehicle was the best companion in the apocalypse. A car? Lin Shi looked puzzled. But now the streets are full of zombies and wrecked cars. Where are we going to find one? I know a place. I opened an electronic map and pointed to a spot on the edge of the city. Here. It's a large off-road vehicle modification club. The owner is an enthusiast who collected many top-tier off-road vehicles and built a professional modification workshop. In my past life, a survivor squad took over this place and made it their base. This time, we need to get there before them. We prepared thoroughly. We put on stab-proof vests and combat boots, packed tactical backpacks full of food, water, and ammunition, each carried a compound crossbow, and strapped fire axes and machetes to our waists. Dahe and Arii were also fed to the brim and fitted with special anti-bite collars. Ready? I checked the final gear. Lin Shi took a deep breath and tightened her grip on the machete. Ready. We opened the heavy iron door of the villa. The zombie horde outside had mostly been cleared by the electric fence, leaving only charred corpses on the ground, emitting a foul stench. The long-missed sunlight fell on our faces but brought no warmth. The air was thick with the smell of decay and blood. This was our first real step into the outside world since the apocalypse began. A wandering zombie spotted us and charged with a guttural cry. Lynn, she screamed in fright and instinctively stepped back. I remained calm, sidestepped the attack, and swung my axe. With a thud, the fire axe precisely split the zombie's skull, splattering black blood and brain matter everywhere. Don't be afraid. I wiped the blood off the axe. Their weak spot is the head. Destroy the brain, and they're done for. Remember, don't let them scratch or bite you, or you'll get infected. As I spoke, I led her toward the garage. Lynn, she watched my swift movements, her eyes filled with shock and admiration. Nyan Nyan, you're amazing. You get used to it after killing enough, I said calmly. In my past life, I had fought through hordes of zombies 7 times to protect her, honing my skills to perfection. We avoided the main roads, weaving through alleys and abandoned buildings instead. Along the way, we encountered scattered zombies. At first, Lynn, she was terrified and only dared to hide behind me. But with my encouragement and guidance, she began to try swinging her machete. When she finally mustered all her strength to chop off a zombie's head, she vomited uncontrollably. But after wiping her mouth, her grip on the blade was steadier. People's potential is forced out of them. After half a day of arduous travel, we finally reached the off-road vehicle modification club. The gate was tightly shut and looked intact. Great, it seems no one has found this place yet, Lynn, she said excitedly. But I frowned. It was too quiet. This place wasn't far from the city. There was no way there wouldn't be any zombies. I signaled Lin Shi to be quiet, then led Dahe and Ariai as we cautiously approached. Dahe suddenly let out a low, warning growl toward the club. There's someone inside. I immediately pulled Lin Shi behind a nearby cover. There are people inside, unknown number, possibly armed, I whispered. Lin Shi's face instantly turned grim. We had come all this way, were we going to leave empty-handed? Nian Nian, what do we do, force our way in? No. Let's observe first. We circled around to the side of the club and found a ventilation window. I stepped onto a trash can and quietly peeked inside. In the club's main hall, several zombie corpses lay scattered across the floor. 7 or 8 men were gathered around a campfire, eating canned food, drinking beer, and laughing loudly. They were all armed, machetes, axes, and even 2 handguns. In the center of the hall sat a modified black Ford Raptor, fitted with reinforced bumpers and searchlights, looking incredibly imposing. My heart sank. We were too late. This group was likely the same survivor squad that had taken over this place in my past life. The leader, a man with a thick beard and a scorpion tattoo on his neck, was toying with a gun in his hand, looking arrogant. Damn it, this godforsaken place doesn't even have a single woman, I'm going crazy, a blonde-haired man complained. What's the rush? The scorpion-tattooed man sneered. Once we finish modifying this Doom fortress, we'll head into the city. Then, what kind of woman won't we find? As long as there's food, plenty of women will be willing to climb into your bed. Haha, the boss is right, we'll find the 2 prettiest ones and let the boss have the first taste. The group burst into lewd laughter. A flicker of killing intent flashed in my eyes. I remembered these people. In my past life, they had used their vehicles and weapons to burn, loot, and commit every atrocity imaginable in the city. Many survivors had died at their hands, especially women. I hadn't expected to run into them so soon in this life. I climbed down from the ventilation window and told Lin Shi what I had seen. Her face flushed with anger. Those scumbags, Nian Nian, we can't just let this go, we can't let that car fall into their hands. Of course not, I said, narrowing my eyes. Not only will the car be ours, but their supplies will be too. Do you have a plan? Yeah. I pointed toward the club's backyard. That's their modification workshop and storage area, filled with spare parts and gas barrels. Let's give them something extra. Night fell. After a long day, most of the people in the club were drunk, sleeping like logs. Only a tall, skinny man was left leaning against the door, keeping watch. Lin Shi and I, along with Dehe and Erhe, moved like ghosts, silently slipping into the backyard. As expected, the backyard was piled with gas barrels. I pulled out a hose I had prepared earlier and began funneling gasoline into the club's ventilation ducts. Lin Shi worked on making simple Molotov cocktails using cloth strips and alcohol. Dehe and Erhe crouched quietly beside us, alertly scanning our surroundings. Everything was ready. I handed the last Molotov cocktail to Lin Shi. I'll lure the lookout away. When you hear the gunshot, throw the Molotov in, then immediately run to our meeting point. Don't look back. What about you? Lin Shi grabbed my arm worriedly. Don't worry, I have a way out. I patted her hand, took a deep breath, picked up a rock, and hurled it at the club's glass window. Crash! The sound of shattering glass cut sharply through the silent night. Who's there? The tall lookout was jolted awake and rushed out with his gun. I immediately ran in the opposite direction, deliberately making noise. Over there, something's there. Without a second thought, the tall man chased after me. I led him into an abandoned building complex, using the intricate terrain to maneuver around him. Just then, a gunshot rang out from the direction of the club. A signal. I didn't linger in the fight. I turned and sprinted along another path toward the rendezvous point. Almost the moment I turned, a violent explosion erupted behind me. Boom! Flames shot into the sky, turning half the night red. The entire club was instantly engulfed in a sea of fire. Heart-wrenching screams came from within, but they were quickly drowned out by even louder explosions and the sound of collapsing structures. I didn't look back. Dealing with scum requires no mercy. When I finally reached the rendezvous point, breathless, Lin Shi and the two dogs were already waiting there. Seeing me, she immediately rushed over and hugged me tightly. Nian Nian, you scared me to death, I'm fine. I patted her back to reassure her. We did it. We stared at the blazing fire in the distance and let out a sigh of relief. Though we didn't get the modified car, at least we had taken care of a bunch of troublemakers. But we celebrated too soon. Just as we were about to leave, a cold, sinister voice suddenly emerged from the shadows behind us. Having fun, ladies? Lin Shi and I froze instantly. We spun around to see the man with the scorpion tattoo leaning against a wall, his dark gun barrel aimed straight at us. He was still alive, his face was blackened with soot, and one arm was a bloody mess, clearly injured in the explosion. But his eyes, like a venomous snake, were filled with malice and madness. You blew up my brothers, burned down my base, and think you can just walk away. Tell me, how do you want to die? Lin Shi and I felt our hearts sink to the bottom. Instinctively, I shielded Lin Shi behind me, leveling the crossbow in my hand at the scorpion-tattooed man. Put the gun down, I said coldly. The scorpion-tattooed man froze for a moment when he saw my crossbow, then burst into wild laughter. Ha ha ha, you're going to compare that thing to this? He shook the gun in his hand. Little girl, are you kidding me? Before you can shoot that broken stick, I can turn your head into a sieve. Believe it or not, the atmosphere instantly froze, thick with tension. What do you want? I asked in a low voice. What do I want? His eyes roamed over our curves, filled with undisguised lechery. My brothers are all dead. I'm lonely and pissed off now. What do you think I want? You too, play with me nicely. If you keep me happy, maybe I'll consider leaving you whole bodies. Lin Shi trembled with rage, gripping my arms so hard her nails nearly dug into my flesh. Dream on, you scumbag, I'd rather die than let you have your way. Oh, feisty. The scorpion-tattooed man whistled, turning his gun toward Lin Shi. I like girls with spirit like you. Try touching her and see what happens. I roared, the crossbow bolt locked dead on his forehead. Just as we were locked in a standoff, Dehay and Erhay beside me suddenly grew restless, letting out threatening growls from their throats. The scorpion-tattooed man's attention was drawn to them. Damn, 2 more beasts. He frowned, turning his gun toward Dehay. I'll blow this dog away first. Now, the moment his gun moved, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. At the same time, I shouted, Dehay, Erhay, go, whoosh woof. The crossbow bolt and the 2 fierce dogs shot forward like arrows, all lunging at the scorpion-tattooed man at once. He reacted quickly, twisting sideways to dodge the bolt aimed at his forehead. But the bolt still grazed his cheek, leaving a bloody gash. And he lost his best chance to shoot Dehay. Dehay and Erhay were already on him, jaws wide open, sinking their teeth into his gun-wielding arm and one of his legs. Ah! The scorpion-tattooed man let out a blood-curdling scream, dropping his gun to the ground. He struggled wildly, pounding the dogs' heads with his free hand, but Dehay and Erhay were professionally trained, their bite force immense, holding on relentlessly. I'll kill you all. His eyes bloodshot, he looked like a madman. I gave him no chance. Drawing the fire axe from my waist, I lunged forward, raised it high, and with all my strength, brought it down hard on his head. Thud, warm liquid splattered across my face. The world fell silent. The scorpion-tattooed man's body twitched twice, then went still. I dropped the axe, collapsing to the ground, gasping for air. Lin, she also slumped down, her face pale. Is it over? It's over. We stared at the scorpion-tattooed man's corpse and the gun lying not far away, both of us shaken. If I had hesitated even a moment, we would have been the ones dead. I walked over, picked up the pistol heavy, with a cold metallic feel. I also found a few spare magazines. With this, our safety margin had increased. Nian, what do we do now? Lin, she asked, still trembling with fear. I looked at the sea of flames still burning. The people are dealt with. But the car is gone. Looks like we'll have to find another way. We scavenged everything useful from the scorpion-tattooed man and his accomplices, some canned food, water, and a machete. The sky was fully bright now. We had to leave this dangerous place as soon as possible. Just as we were about to turn back the way we came, something suddenly occurred to me. Wait. I pulled Lin Shi to a stop and pointed at a detached 2-story building next to the club. That's the boss's office and rest area. Maybe there's something we need inside. We pried open the door of the building. And inside was a mess. Clearly it had been ransacked too. But in the bedroom on the 2nd floor, we found a safe. The safe had been violently tampered with but not opened. I told Lin Shi to step back, then took a fire axe and swung it hard at the gap in the safe door. After more than a dozen strikes, the axe blade was chipped, but I finally managed to pry open a crack in the safe door. I shoved a crowbar into the gap and wrenched it with all my strength. With a loud clang, the door swung open. Inside the safe, there was no gold or silver, only a stack of documents and a few sets of keys. I picked up the top set of keys, which had a familiar car emblem attached. Mercedes-Benz. Unimog. My heart began to race. I picked up the document. And on it were written several bold words: Unimog U4000 Off-Road RV Conversion Plan. Unimog, the ultimate monster known as the king of off-road, in my past life, had only heard of such vehicles in legends. It was said to adapt to any extreme terrain. Practically a mobile fortress. I never dreamed that one would be hidden here. Nian, what is this? Lin, she asked, curious, as she watched my trembling hands shake with excitement. We hit the jackpot, I said, my voice hoarse. I flipped open the modification plan, which detailed every upgrade made to this Unimog. Bulletproof body, explosion-proof tires, a snorkel, a winch, a solar power system, a water purification system, a large-capacity fuel tank. This wasn't a vehicle, it was a mobile fortress. Where is it? Lynn, she grew excited too. I looked at the note on the last page of the file. To avoid new regulations, the vehicle is temporarily stored in Warehouse 3 of the abandoned industrial park in the west of the city. Let's go, without a moment's delay. We grabbed the keys and documents and rushed to the Western Industrial Park. Along the way, we were even more cautious. With the gun, I felt much more confident. When we encountered scattered zombies, I no longer avoided them, I shot them in the head directly. Under my guidance. Lynn, she fired her first shot too. Though the massive recoil numbed her arm, watching the zombie fall in the distance, her eyes were filled with excitement and disbelief. I did it, you did great, I encouraged. In the apocalypse, only strength is the ultimate truth. The abandoned industrial park was dead silent, the towering factory buildings standing like silent giants. We found Warehouse 3 and used the key to open the heavy rolling door. As the door slowly rose, revealing the massive beast inside, both Lynn, she and I couldn't help but gasp. It was a pitch-black monster. Taller than an ordinary truck, with a menacing bull bar, a cluster of searchlights on the roof, and enormous off-road tires. Every detail exuded power and security. Oh my God. Lynn, she murmured. With this, can we just mow down zombies? Pretty much. I ran my hand over its cold, sturdy body, as if caressing my closest comrade. With this, our survival map would no longer be confined to a single villa. We could go farther, search for more supplies, and build a safer base. We couldn't wait to get inside. The interior was far more spacious than I had imagined. Behind the driver's cab was the living area, complete with a bed, a private bathroom, a small kitchen, and even an LCD TV. I turned the key, and the engine let out a low roar. It was like a sleeping giant awakening. I shifted into gear, gently pressed the accelerator, and the Unimog slowly rolled out of the warehouse, crushing gravel and weeds beneath its tires as if they were nothing. Let's go home. The return trip was incredibly easy. When we encountered abandoned vehicles blocking the way, I simply stepped on the gas and rammed them. Ordinary cars were like paper in front of the Unimog, easily pushed aside. When we came across small hordes of zombies, we didn't even need to get out, we just ran them over. Lynn, she sat in the passenger seat, laughing and shouting with excitement. Nien Nien, this is amazing, this is like the Lamborghini of the apocalypse. Seeing her bright smile, which I hadn't seen in so long, I couldn't help but laugh too. Coming back to life wasn't all my effort for this very moment. Back at the villa, we parked the Unimog in the yard, its massive frame nearly filling the entire space. Looking at our new companion and the basement stacked with supplies, we felt an unprecedented sense of security. But our peaceful days didn't last long. That day, we were enjoying steak and red wine in the villa, celebrating our new home on wheels, when the villa's alarm system suddenly blared again, sharp and piercing. We immediately rushed to the monitoring room. On the screen, we could see several military trucks parked outside the villa. A group of soldiers, all wearing identical uniforms and carrying loaded weapons, had surrounded our villa in a combat formation. At the front, an officer was using a megaphone to address the villa. Listen up, people inside, we are the Military Survivor Search and Rescue Team, by order of the state. We are requisitioning this villa and all supplies. Open the door immediately and cooperate with our operations. I repeat, open the door immediately, otherwise, we will take forcible measures. The military, Lin Shi and I exchanged a glance, both seeing the gravity in each other's eyes. Trouble had come again.